Well, I guess, as most weeks on a Tuesday, Rita is here. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Very good, actually. I tell you, it's a warm one. It's a warm one today. There's no two ways.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous, you say, yes. Well, yes, I suppose it is. So what sort of week have you had then? Come on. Have you been full of excitement, full of vigour, full of oomph?
Full of oomph. I mean, always full of oomph. It's lovely, it's sunny, June is a very busy month for me, so it's just sort of very much on the go, keeping in motion, and looking forward to July.
Yes, I can imagine. All right, so we mentioned yesterday you're going to talk about boredom. Now, the thing is, when anybody mentions boredom, I'm fed up, I'm bored, I don't want to do anything, and they get right down in the dumps. It can be sort of a depressionary type thing. But you're going to come about it from a different way. How does it work?
Look, being bored, it's one of the things that a lot of my clients say. So I thought, well, it must be relatively prevalent amongst society then, where we hate the idea of being bored and we'll do absolutely anything we can to stop being bored.
Right.
And it usually causes us to engage in relatively negative behaviors rather than positive ones. So, like, imagine, let's take us back, 1,000 years ago. We couldn't be bored because we were just constantly trying to survive. When every day is a fight for survival, you don't really have an option to be bored. It's, you walk 5 miles for, any sort of water. You're always on edge in case another tribe or tiger or something's going to come out of the bushes and, hunt you down. So there wasn't really any opportunity to be bored. And then even, think about 100 years back, now I can get on a plane, fly for 6 hours and be in an entirely another country. I don't have to do anything. I'm on the plane and I'm sat being bored, this massive opportunity to be bored. 100 years back, that wouldn't have happened. You'd be riding your horse. You'd be constantly having to stop. You'd be battling weather conditions. Again, everything, because of life being easier, means we have a lot more opportunity for boredom. And boredom is uncomfortable. It's not something that we naturally enjoy as a species. And it's something we therefore tend to react very quickly to. I think I'm going to be bored, therefore let's grab anything that I can hold on to stop myself being bored. And that tends to lead to scrolling on the phone, and that could be any of the social media channels or emails or messages or anything like that. It tends to lead to immediate switching on of some sort of screen, so television or computer, so that either we use phone or TV for distraction, or we find ourselves working, because working is a very easy way to immediately stop being bored. Oh, I've got an hour, I fear I might be bored, let's fill it with emails, content creation, spreadsheets, whatever it is that your particular job entails. And these are quite negative ways because of filling that boredom, because they make you more bored in the long run. They're very, very temporary distraction. They actually cause quite severe fatigue and a really simply an inability to have an attention span where you can actually focus on one particular task. They create long-term boredom. Now, when we approach boredom from a different perspective, it's about seeing, well, what's underneath it. So boredom doesn't just come from repetitive tasks or a lack of activity. It can come from all sorts of things, lack of control and autonomy. You think about kids, they get bored really easily. Well, part of that is because they have a lack of control and autonomy over their own choices and actions and lives. They're at the will, essentially, of their parents, of the authority, and a lack of control can lead very much to boredom. Yes, tedium and a lack of stimulation as well, but also a lack of being able to be present. If we can be completely present in any given moment, we can never be bored. You take two people, let's say, just watching a movie, one of them is completely focused on it. They're not anywhere else. Their mind isn't wavering. They're completely focused, present, watching that movie. And the other person's scrolling on Facebook.
Yeah.
That person is not present at all, and they're bored in that moment, and they're trying desperately to create distraction from it. The one that's present and engaging in the situation doesn't have the opportunity to feel bored. So it's really looking at boredom. Where is it coming from? And then how can you deal with it in a creative manner?
Okay, so with that in mind, when you say children get bored very quickly, is it because that are we as a society and some parents, because we're constantly right, have this tablet, have this computer, have this, and are we creating that in a way where they don't go and create things themselves, like have fun in the garden or run around with a pet or play on a field or whatever? Are we creating that or exacerbating it by giving too much media to children, or through neglect for that reason?
A bit of everything in that. So I'm going to stipulate at the beginning that every parent is doing their best. The majority of parents are doing their absolute best, and no one knows how to parent. So no one is, nothing is coming from a place of ill content or malice. It's coming from just, we're genuinely trying, but it's hard, right? No one tells you what to do. But when you see families, kids will be there chatting with each other, and the parents will be on their phone. And the kids are learning in that very moment that you don't focus on something, there's always a distraction behind you. They watch, they're a sponge, they pick up. If they're seeing their parents always doing two things at once, which usually involves something with the children plus phone, something with the children plus TV in the background, something with the children plus radio in the background, whatever it might be, that background, phone, TV, radio, other, is teaching that child that attention is never singular. It's never focused in one moment, and they start to learn from that without consciously realizing. But also, we unwittingly teach children to repress their emotions, which can lead to being scared as adults to just sit with their emotions in silence without distraction. Because, think of, a firstborn child. As soon as they cry, you pick them up. I was about to say something. You're doing something in your pants. As soon as you hear them screaming, you pick them up and cuddle them. As soon as they start to cry when they're a bit older, it's like, shh. You tell them to shush. You try and stop that emotion from coming out. Now, we're not doing that from a malice place, but that is subsequently teaching that child not to express that emotion. That emotion that you're screaming about, don't express it. I'm going to do something to stop you, whether that's giving them a candy, whether that's hugging them, whether that's punishing them, whether it's saying shh, whatever it might be. We're teaching them not to fully experience that emotion. And so they grow up going, I better not experience the emotion. Well, I need to distract myself. I haven't got parent going shush. I haven't got parent giving me cuddle. Oh, I better pick up my phone. Oh, I better turn on the TV. So we immediately from the get-go start to teach the next generations and so on to not experience a full range of emotion, which means sitting, being bored, where the only thing going on is your emotion.
Yeah.
Is quite hard for them. So it's about then looking at creative paths to use that boredom, whether it's finding a new hobby, picking a new activity, whether it's meditation, whatever it might be, finding a creative outlet rather than a temporary screen distraction.
So what is it do you ever find yourself bored? Are you one of those people that have always got something to do. Yes, you've got 3 children, and yes, you're running a business, and you like to keep yourself fit, so you've normally got something to do. But do you, with your own words, search for that something to do, or is your day and the way that you do things, is it scheduled in such a way that that boredom doesn't have a chance to creep in? And do you think people could regenerate the way they go about their lives and rethink it to prevent boredom, or do you think they have to have a bit of boredom included in their life?
I think a bit of boredom is good for everybody because it means that we actually learn to sit with ourselves. Mm-hmm. Because essentially being unable to sit in silence with yourself is a discomfort with something in you. If you can't sit without distraction, completely with you and nothing else, and it means that there's something you're uncomfortable with within you that you don't want to face.
I was speaking to a gentleman the other day, and him and his current lady, always on the go. Always on the go. Got to go here, got to go there, and has to have stuff organised in such a way. A goes to B goes to C, and it has to be almost regimental, if you like. And they find it, and they said this, almost impossible to sit and just sit and be like with a glass of wine or a beer or whatever it happens to be. And I said, can you just sit and relax? No. So I said, it's quite simple. What you do is you get your glass here. I had a beer at the time. And you sit in the chair, you put it next to you, and you just relax and say, no, I get bored within seconds. So do you think that people don't like being bored, so that's why they drive themselves harder, which inevitably comes round and bites them in the backside, doesn't it?
Well, if someone is that absolutely regimented, there could be lots of reasons behind it. One that I see in people is that it's almost that they don't trust themselves. So they have to have that structure, that absolute regimented structure.
Right.
Because if there isn't a structure, they don't trust that on the fly, they'll make the right choice. The kind of people that go, I have to have my exercise in exactly the same spot, like it has to be fitted in the routine. Because if it isn't, it doesn't happen. That means that they don't trust that they are going to make the right choice for themselves. They're using the structure as a crutch. So my structure is the reason. Well, what if you move job or you go on holiday and you haven't got that structure? Immediately you're all out and the exercise isn't happening. So that means you haven't changed anything about your identity. You don't want to do it. It's not part of who you are. You're using structure as a crutch, and you don't trust your choices when given multiple options.
Yeah.
It could also be, when people are really, really regimented, that they're living usually in the future. They're not living in the present. So sort of depression and sadness comes from living in the past. Anxiety and worry comes from living in the future. So they're constantly thinking about the next step. What could happen? What are the outcomes? What do I need to do to make that happen? Everything is goal orientated, and they're doing it for a reason. So again, if I bring in the example of exercise, the kind of people who desperately need it in a structure are usually doing it for an outcome. I am exercising to lose weight. I am exercising to build muscle. For me, for instance, I loosely have a structure, but it kind of goes like this. Today I'm going to move, and that's my structure. Because I trust 2 things. A, that I will do exercise at some point that day because my choices are designed to nurture my body, not because I have to, but because I want to. And 2, I don't exercise or move to achieve anything. I do it because I absolutely blooming love it. I love going for a run because it's freedom to me. I love going dancing because it's creativity to me. I love boxing because it's, stress management for me. I love doing these things, and then there happens to be happy outcomes from them. So
I'm not the person out you don't like.
It is a punch bag, not a person.
Okay, all right.
So when we're doing things because we love it and it's just part of who we are. We don't have to live in the future because we're fully engrossed in the moment. So if someone's so anxious that everything needs to be regimented, it usually means as soon as they sit down to relax, oh, I'm not doing something to achieve X, Y, Z. Therefore, it's a waste of time. Therefore, I feel antsy.
So do you think they're kicking themselves? Are they kicking themselves because of that, thinking that because they have to do it, therefore they're going to end up punishing themselves by sitting down? Do you think that they see it as a form of punishment to themselves?
I don't think they see it as a form of punishment. I think there's a lot of delayed gratification a lot of the time, which never comes to fruition for people. So if I work 70 hours a week now until the age of 55, I can retire early and then I can relax. Then I can enjoy it. And it's this kind of, if I keep going and going and going and don't stop now, there will be a point where I can stop completely. And then one of three things happens. Either that person gets hit by a bus at the age of 54 and never gets to experience it, or they then retire, and because of the mindset, the identity that they have for themselves, they don't actually know how to enjoy it because the work itself was a distraction from something else. And because they're not happy, they fill it with something else. So yes, they've stopped work, but they don't stop and relax. They go, oh, what charity can I go and volunteer for? Nothing wrong with volunteering for charities. But then, if you take something to an extreme and you start volunteering in the community 24/7, how is that any different from a job? Or they'll find something which isn't a hobby because they find pleasure. They find a hobby that can then have yet again another outcome. Or the third thing is they get there and they're so terrified of the prospect of stopping that they go, as I'm not going to retire, I'll just keep working.
Yeah.
So usually when we're constantly delaying gratification, which again is a kind of all in, all out, like I'm all in work now so that I can be all out of it later, it doesn't work. You need to find a balance throughout your life. No one got to their deathbed and said, oh, I wish I'd worked more. I wish I'd worked harder. It's not something that the things that we regret are not taking the opportunities where we can. One of my clients, amazing house, amazing car. She had probably about 250k in savings, just sat there in a bank balance. She had on paper all of these awesome things. And she was like, I don't know what to do with any of it. I don't know what to use my money for because I've never got to a stage where the idea of relaxing into it could happen. She didn't go on holiday. She didn't do any of these things because that in itself scared her. It was more nerve-wracking to actually slow down and stop than it was to just do. So I can't remember what your question was, but maybe that answered it.
Yeah, that did. All right, well, okay, so in essence then, it's good to be bored, and you can enjoy being bored because the fruition later on will make it better. But because you can't see into the future, so you wouldn't know that at the time. So, I mean, if you were to say to a parent, oh, yeah, your child's bored, yeah, that's a good thing, a lot of them would say no because they give me a load of earache or, But it's nice to look at it from a different perspective, and you always seem to manage to do that. Is come at things from a different angle, because a lot of people see things A, B, C, or they see them in black and white. It's either that or it's that. But life is not like that. Life has grey areas, doesn't it, and different permutations. Are we allowed to say permutations on a Tuesday? So you seem to have found a balance, and you pass it on to other people. Fantastic. So what's the best way for them to get in touch with you so you can tell them how good it is to be bored?
So you can find me on Facebook. It's either Rita Trotter or the Health and Fitness Coach. You can find me on Instagram at the.health.fitness.coach. Or you can go to my website, www.thehealthandfitnesscoach.co.uk. There's a contact page on there with my email address, phone number, and contact form.
Fantastic. So you've got a lot of dots in your life. You've gone dotty. Is that what you're saying?
Always.
Rita,
like
It's always a pleasure. Thank you very much. Always brightens up a Tuesday. Thank you very much. You have a great day. And if you go out in the sunshine, don't burn anything. It's not legal.
I will try.
All right. That's Rita Trotter, live on Facebook and also Fresh Gold Radio. We'll speak to you soon.
See you later.
Ta-da,
Bye.
bye-bye.